All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the history of artificial intelligence. And this whole journey, it didn't start with a microchip or a line of code. It actually started with a single, really powerful question. Can a machine think? That's it. That's the question that really kicked everything off. It was posed by the incredible mathematician Alan Turing way, way back in 1950. And he didn't just throw the question out there, he actually came up with a test for it. You've probably heard of it, the famous Turing test. The idea was pretty simple, but totally revolutionary. If a machine could chat with a human and fool them into thinking it was also human, well, then it had shown intelligence. That one idea, it basically lit the fuse for the entire field of AI. So Turing gave us the technical starting point, but the dream of thinking machines, oh, that's way older. It's this deep, almost ancient human desire. Our sources put it perfectly, calling it a quest to create a man-made thinking power. Basically, to build something that reflects our own minds. And then we get to this moment. This is when it all became official. The Dartmouth Conference wasn't just some academic get-together. It was literally the birth of AI as a field of study. You had this small group of brilliant researchers all sharing this pretty wild idea at the time, that every part of human intelligence, from learning to reasoning, could be described so precisely that a machine could be built to copy it. All right, so let's jump into what happened right after that. With AI officially a thing, the field just exploded with this incredible sense of optimism. This was the golden age. We're talking from the mid-50s to the early 70s, and it was just this time of sky-high hopes and, honestly, some amazing early successes. Just look at the momentum here. It's kind of nuts when you think about it. In a little over 15 years, they went from a program that could prove math theorems to a chatbot, ELIZA, that actually tricked people into thinking it was a therapist, all the way to a full-on intelligent humanoid robot in Japan. If you were a researcher back then, you'd have to be thinking the finish line was right around the corner. But you know how these things go? That amazing energy couldn't last forever. The early ambition basically slammed right into a brick wall of technical limitations. This led to periods that researchers now call the AI winters, these long stretches where progress just froze, the money disappeared, and nobody was really talking about it anymore. And this right here, this really nails the core issue. You had this huge, huge gap between what was promised and what was actually possible. Researchers were talking about creating systems that could translate languages fluently and understand conversations, but the computers back then just weren't powerful enough, not even close. The problem was way more complex than anyone had guessed, and when those big promises didn't pan out, well, the funding just dried up. So the field actually went through two of these big freezes. The first one came after that initial wave of hype, and the second one hit after a short comeback with something called expert systems. Now, these winters felt like a total disaster at the time, but they turned out to be super important. They basically forced everyone to go back to the drawing board and completely rethink how they were approaching the whole problem. And this is where the story gets really interesting. It's almost ironic, right? Those brutal winters, all that failure, it actually forced a radical shift in thinking. It set the stage for a completely new idea, one that would end up defining everything we know about AI today.
And that idea was machine learning. This was the absolute game changer. The whole philosophy flipped on its head. So instead of trying to sit down and write out every single possible rule for what intelligence is, researchers began building systems that could learn the rules for themselves just by sifting through massive amounts of data.
Okay, let's really get into what this means, because it's the most important shift in the whole story. The old way, that's rule-based AI, was like trying to write a perfect step-by-step instruction manual for a computer to handle any situation. The problem? It was super rigid. If it saw something new, it just broke. The new way, machine learning, is totally different. It's like giving the computer a giant library full of examples and saying, here, you figure out the rules. This move from programming knowledge to enabling learning, that's what finally unleashed AI's real power. So you might be wondering, how did this new learning approach lead to the AI that's all over the place today? Well, it turned out to be the missing piece of the puzzle. You combine this data-first method with the explosion in computing power that happened over the last few decades, and boom, you get the perfect storm for an AI revolution. And wow, what a boom it has been. Look at this timeline. Beating the world chess champion was a massive deal, sure. But then, when IBM's Watson won on Jeopardy, that showed AI could handle the messiness and nuance of human language. And from there, the pace just went ballistic. We've got AI making phone calls to book appointments that sound completely human. And now we have generative tools like GPT and Midjourney in our hands, creating text and art that's just mind-blowing. These are things that were pure sci-fi not that long ago. And all of this is the payoff for that long, winding journey. AI isn't stuck in a research lab anymore. It's literally woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. Just think about it for a second. It's what recommends your next show on Netflix. It's the app that finds you the fastest way home. It's the system that flags a weird charge on your credit card. It's become this fundamental, often invisible layer of our modern world. So, what a ride, right? We've gone from trying to write down the rules of logic to building machines that can learn on their own. It's been an incredible evolution, but it leaves us with this one big, thought-provoking question for the future. As scientists and engineers push towards these really advanced concepts, stuff like theory of mind or even self-awareness, you have to wonder, after coming all this way, what is the next chapter for intelligence actually going to look like?